Live streaming is on.
All right, we're live, and I think one of you guys is through speakers because I hear always the live streaming is on message like 3 times. It's quite funny.
That's mine, probably.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Good to see you again. I know we've all been looking forward to this, like we just talked about in the last couple of minutes before we went live here. Super excited to check in. Last week was already super exciting to see the progress of everyone's project. And I already heard from some of you that they feel like it's already been a month since we had our last live stream, which is good. So I can't wait to actually see the progress. Is there anything you guys wanted to mention on the stream or ask our followers or the world, the YouTube world, before we dive into our project updates?
So if you're following, we want to know about you, right? Reach out and we would like to see if there is something of interest, even if it's just the process itself or our ideas. We would love to hear that.
Yes, good point. Yeah, all feedback is good feedback, as I like to say. Even if you hate it, right? Like if you hate my project, tell me. I'd much rather know that right now. And if like 100 people say they hate it and none of you says they like it or it has potential, then that's also something, right? That's also a sign. All right, cool. Let me pull up the screen. I think next week I'm going to start changing the order because I don't want to always have to be the first one to present. But for this week, since I just copied the slides from last week, they're still in the same order. And here we go. Cool. So weekly check-in. Everyone hopefully knows what this is about by now. If not, go back into the first videos and watch those. Also, let us know if that's not clear still after you watch them. That would be great to know, so we can clarify more what we're doing. My project's coindrop.me, and it is, of course, about a Bitcoin wallet with human-readable addresses, right? My biggest achievement this week is that even with the kind of small MVP approach I thought I had with the starting app, the Angular app I downloaded from GitHub and started using, I still overshot it, and I went back and forth and tried to fit something into a mold, which just wasted a lot of time. And I was like, yesterday, actually, I was like, okay, screw this. And I rewrote everything in just pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Well, I shouldn't say rewrote everything. I used the previous template I had for a website and based it on that and changed all the copy and the design and put all the business logic into that. But that is just pure dumb old HTML and JavaScript. That worked great. I finished that up today. And so the week 1 and week 2 is fully completed. The website is set up. I didn't push it live. I was thinking I was going to put it out today, but there's a couple of UX issues I still want to fix, and I'll show this to you guys in a minute. Before I put it live, it's kind of it's poor in some spots, but I got that all done. I also started reaching out on Facebook to crypto groups. I'll show you guys that in a second. That mixed results, pretty interesting in my opinion. And then just as of a couple hours ago, one of those outreaches actually provided some insights into more or less competition, but the competitive landscape, I want to say. For next week, I'm planning to finalize all of these UI glitches and UX workflows I still have in the pre-sale website, which I will show you in a minute, and double down on the outreach and really kind of like Steve mentioned for his success last week, really try to understand who might be that early adopter for a product like that. I naturally think about, just people who are into cryptocurrency, but maybe not. I'm not sure yet. Maybe it's kind of more of the mom and pop investors in cryptocurrency, because my goal is to make this super simple, right? Like that you don't have to know anything about cryptocurrency, and then you have a crypto wallet which has human readable address you can share with people. So I really need to start understanding who that target audience is, do more outreach for that, and then get the website live and do some more testing on it so I can make sure that I capture everyone who might be interested and I don't drop anything because I have any bugs. So here is what I did midway through the week. I don't know how well this GIF plays, but I just put that into the presentation here. I put that up because I noticed I had the domain for a while, but nothing was on the domain. So I just put that together with Card, a quick little landing page where you can subscribe. Oh, yeah, that email already did subscribe, so that I can notify you if and when we are live, which hopefully should be here soon. This really didn't do anything else than that. Just writes it to the database, to the MailChimp list, I think. Card's pretty cool, by the way. If you guys don't know it, check it out. It's pretty easy to set this stuff up and fairly cheap. Here's another GIF, but instead of showing you that, I'm gonna dare try an actual live demo again. And so this is gonna be the landing page. You see in the address bar, that's just a local index HTML file right now. Not much going on here. As you scroll through, I explain a little bit what that is. And for everyone, I would love to get feedback on the copy here as well. I'm okay at writing copy, not great at it. And let me know if that's understandable from the cohort as well as from anyone on YouTube. And then how it works, select prepay follow for updates, and you get to the pricing section more or less, where you can either get your free address or your custom address. And then there's not much more below. There's a team. Timo is a friend of mine who is a big fan of crypto technology, and he already said that once I'm ready to build the wallets and the system behind it, that he wants to be a part of it. So I just included him. He didn't say to take his face off yet, so I'm assuming that's fine. So if we look at registering, and here you see already the UI elements are kind of terrible, but let's just say we want a free address, right? We generate a free address. Let's say Tempo Chili Palace, and Justin at hello.com wants that. Oh yeah, I also need to fix my regex for my fields, but we can reserve that. I did that again through Gumroad, and I actually made it a free product, but with a option to actually pay something for it, because I thought maybe why not, right? So people are, of course, it's okay to put here 0, and then you see here it's all auto-populated, and then you say get it. It's more or less the same thing I showed you last week, but now this is triggering the pre-sale, and it's all people won't be charged for $0. Obviously, they won't be charged, but if you do the actual pre-sale, then this is there's another bug. So I need to reload because my JavaScript injection didn't work. So now say Emmy is buying it this time. And yes, I still need to have that lowercase. Send Emmy money. Does the same thing. And now, the price is pre-populated. You can't change that. In the live system, it will prompt you to enter the credit card information and you purchase that. And it won't charge you until the date of when I am planning on going live with the full system, which is May 1st. As of now, that might change in the future. All right, I think that's mostly that for the demo. Briefly back to the slides. Like I said, I started outreach in one Bitcoin group on the left side here. Literally, I went for the biggest Facebook groups, right, around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And the first one I posted, just getting feedback for the project, and like literally just spam after spam after spam, promoting their own Telegram channels or whatever bullshit. And then I posted in a couple more. One of the ones which seemed to be fairly decently moderated is Bitcoin official group. And here I posted the same thing. And Kriegel here is actually the admin of the group. He seems to like the idea the monkey is applauding. That's also a GIF. And then what's super interesting is that Anthony here posted paystring.org, which is the screenshot on the upper right here, which is very, very interesting. And it's very similar to what I'm trying to do. It's actually a protocol based on HTTPS and DNS, which facilitates something very similar. And you see here on the bottom that PayMe Plus is one of the services based on PayString, where it's an app where you can basically link all of your crypto wallets or whatever to a PayString, and you see $PayMe.plus. That's a PayString, right? And that's super, super interesting because I'm more, more interested in making this easy rather than inventing the wheel again. And now that I see there is already a PayString wheel, I might consider deviating from my triplet kind of, send.me.money into something like this, where it would be, your string $coindrop.me, right? So that it's just a couple hours old, that finding, and I want to look more into that. Real brief on the KPIs, not much on the signups on the mailing list, just 4 more. Less visitors to the blog this week, but I do now only look at new visitors. I have to update the one from last week as well. I have 10 total followers now on Twitter, 24 likes. That includes all of you guys from the cohort. Appreciate it, but I feel like I have to state that. And 3.8 thousand impressions. That's from the analytics.twitter.com, I think it is, or whatever. So not sure, what that means. That doesn't mean much yet, but I thought it's an interesting metric to track. Cool. With that, I guess we can save the questions for after if you have any, and I'll hand it over to Emmy. Yeah.
Oh, it's working. Okay. Cool. So my big achievement. So I don't feel like I really had any big, large achievement this week, unfortunately. But kind of the theme for my week was that, everything's just getting a bit easier. I guess I'm getting a bit better at things, is maybe a better way to put that. And I think that's a big achievement. So there's that. This week I was supposed to do a lot of outreach and Instagram strategy, which I kind of put off because I have a lot of social anxiety, and I don't like, I knew this was going to be a problem for me. That's why I put it in my plan, right? Is to, I have to reach out to these people, but I still have a lot of trouble with putting myself out there. And if somebody says something mean to me on the internet, I'll think about it for the next 20 years. So that's definitely an issue. I did start reaching out, and everything has been good. Nobody said anything mean to me on the internet. So it's going well, and I've connected with some interesting people in the last week. Besides doing my content and all of that was planned for this week. Next week, I need to really double down on that outreach and kind of learn from this week that, it's not so scary. Keep going. And do that, continue my content creation, of course, and then implement some of my Instagram strategy, which I will share with you presently. Well, shortly, not presently. My KPIs. So I got 1 new subscriber. Newsletter subscribers was the same, but that is because I had a glitch in my subscription thing, still at the big 1 sale, and now my Google Analytics started working, so I can track my blog visitors, and I've had 6. Amazing. this is the fun part. So this is the first thing I want to talk about because this is the most fun part for me. We'll start on the left. This is my beautiful dog Nim, and she's wearing a raglan t-shirt. And like, this is significant to talk about, I think, because this was a pattern that I picked up again this week that I hadn't used in probably 2 or 3 weeks. And when I made the raglan t-shirt today, it was just crazy amounts easier than when I made it 3 weeks ago, and I really struggled with it at first. So that was cool to see that I had made that progress. Right below that, this is something new that I started working on, which is a patchwork kind of design. I saw someone on one of my Facebook groups that I'm doing my outreach to, and I was really inspired by their patchwork work. So I just decided to dive in and give it a try, and I actually really like the outcome. Mitt's little cat here in her raglan t-shirt. I resized this dog-sized raglan to fit on the cat. So that was kind of an accomplishment that I successfully adapted a pattern. And then you'll see I have some new stuff that is really branching out from the dog wear. I have my Bernie Sanders mittens. Yes, I made Bernie Sanders mittens. Another one on the right there.
That's really cool.
I have to say, she made them like as soon as the meme started.
Yeah, they're really fun. I like making upcycled mittens now, so if anybody wants them, you know where to find me. This kimono here that I made, that was completely new, way out of my comfort zone, and I really love how it turned out, so that's cool too. And then, you know, some of my classics, so some exciting connections. So this picture is from a plastic-free group, and they're really cool, like, with anything about sustainability, just having a conversation, you know, really open. And so that's why I felt most comfortable coming there first. And you'll see I got 452 likes, hearts, and care reacts. So that was super cool, and people were really, really nice and supportive of my upcycled pet clothing. This guy, Dan, liked my tweet. He's a sustainable fashion activist and a fashion designer, and I thought that was pretty cool. It also kind of launched me into a Twitter area of exploring some different fashion sustainability accounts and individuals that are well known, and so that was really interesting to start to explore. And it's like there's just so much more that I can learn about it, so that's fun. And this last one is a comment on Instagram, and this girl is just insanely talented at patchwork sewing, and she replied to my Instagram post. So super fun. So for my strategy, you'll see a little snippet there of my Instagram. This has been up for several years with my vintage and resale business, and people are not extremely engaged. Like with my other dog related Instagram, it's crazy. People are so into everything that that you're talking about, that you're posting, but this one's a little bit slower. So I'm hoping that I can kind of jazz it up So how I am wanting to do that, like right now, I mostly just have been focusing on product updates, just posting what I'm working on, and presenting that to my audience with a few hashtags. I haven't researched deeply into what hashtags I should use. So that's another part of the strategy I need to get into. I'm thinking I want to start using Reels and maybe make just like little quicker clips of my YouTube videos, like introducing the product and then a little like sped up clip of me making it, and see, because with my other account, Reels get an entirely different audience than anything else. So that's cool. And then also like pushing that connection with the creators as well. Oh, this is a tweet that I just thought was really funny. Because I was going through editing video and I found this frame of my cat just glaring at me condescendingly while I was sewing. And she is my boss in all aspects of life. So, and here's a coupon code in case anyone wants to order anything. It's, if you go to Etsy, just search for Giglets Garments. And I think that should be everything.
Great.
All right.
You said you said that you felt that you didn't make a lot of progress, but I think there was a lot of progress. So I think yeah. Good.
It actually is really helpful, like to have this where I have to break down everything that I did in the week, because I can kind of get in my head about not making big enough leaps, and then but once I write it all down and look at it, I'm like, okay, no, I've actually been working really hard. So.
All right. Well, jumping into Optionator. Biggest achievement this week, I've actually kind of taken a pause here on quote unquote trying to master options trading by trying to focus just back on the software development front. So over the last week, built out the core of the application, which includes saving, loading user data, pulling in the information from the API, and a basic CRUD, create, read, update, and delete interface. So that ties into last week's plan. I wanted to find and implement a stock market API to pull in live data. So found one locally that's free for testing, or at least up to 250 requests daily, and then is $19 a month for unlimited requests to go when I launch. However, I think I found one the last couple hours that may be free, but I'm not sure for commercial use. But that would obviously be the ideal plan. But either way, found one for now for testing and playing around with, and then implemented the new interface. There was a big improvement over the one that was shown last week that was really, I think, reminiscent of just a spreadsheet thrown in a window. So hopefully a big improvement here in how the data is displayed. The plan for this coming week here will be to complete out the remaining fields that will be needed for basic portfolio tracking, and then include the fields needed for options trading tracking. Button up what's required for minimally launching a Mac application. So just your basic about window help, and the notarization and other requirements there that Apple now has. And then looking at the possibility of adding graphs, because looking at the competition, I think all of them use graphs. And then unfortunately, since I chose to use the Zojo development environment, one of the downsides is being that it's proprietary environment and language. There's not as many free libraries available. So it's not like I just throw in some JavaScript stuff that you can find online. Either got to pay for a plugin or build it out 100% manually by code in a canvas. But looking at a few other, hopefully, opportunities there to get something going. But again, so back to the big achievement. When I do my quick demo here, you'll see it's what I learned as well is I kind of jumped the gun just saying that let's do something in regards to options trading. At the core of it, it's really about the stock market. So it's going to start with having portfolio management for stocks, and then adding on top of that a layer for options. So I kind of, not really knowing the industry, I jumped the gun and did things the opposite way. So I had to reverse that, but no concerns, I think, as far as timeline. I don't really have anything to KPIs, so not much to speak of here, but I matched Emmy in blog views, so 6 for this week. And then Sven, you had me interested in what I got on Twitter, so I just went over to analytics, which I didn't know existed, and so I had shockingly 1,800 impressions since I started tweeting. So that's, I think, 11 days now, minus 1 from yesterday because I did not tweet. That's actually quite shocking because this is the first time I've used Twitter in probably 5+ years. So not sure who's looking at it, but somebody is. I don't think you guys are refreshing mine. All right, so let me switch over here now and we'll see how this works. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, or the window rather, and just do my whole screen. And I have a 5K monitor, so hopefully it's not too bad. Somebody can just let me know everything looks okay, or you can read it.
Looks good, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Go in full screen maybe if you can.
So I can't hear, but so here's the main option. I can change my resolution quick.
I can read it, but I also have a high-res screen, so maybe it's just because of that. They match. That's good.
How about this? Okay, so here's the new main optionator window that replaces the existing spreadsheet view. So you've got your accounts here on the left, and as you click through, it's now accessing the API and grabbing in the live data and populating it here. Just some small tweaks as well that I had that added in the last or this morning. They'll show red or green depending on what the current price is based upon its open value. Then what I'll be doing here again. So this is the basic CRUD interface. So as we add in a new account, it's just Starbucks. Again, this is very bare bones. Just wanted to get the fields going and then improve the UI. And then this is where I learned that we'll have to push out between or separate out the fact that if it's a stock for the stock portfolio to start with as a base and then add in the options for options trading. But here then we can add, and as we view, we now get that data. All this, of course, is stored locally. And so there's not much to show here on the demo, but I think it's at least a vast improvement over last week, user experience-wise, and then obviously it's at least doing something of value now. And outputting some actual data. So it's actually been a lot of fun over the last week, relearning. I would say that it's been many, many years just actually developing software. Really the last time that I did anything truly software development related was working in a startup with Sven back a couple of years ago and integrating an SDK into an existing application. Other than that, I haven't really touched anything in a long, long time. So it takes a lot to get back into it. It's not so as much as riding a bike, but it's been a blast, relearning everything and seeing all what's new out there as well over the last decade. But getting back into it now that I have again the core part of the application completed, now adding in the remaining fields and then the formulas to project out the projections, and then adding in the separate layer for what's required for the options tracking. I think I'm going to jinx it now, but I think should be a breeze compared to what I have had here building out for the last week. And that does it for the demo.
So in the account, when you link the account, are you expecting, let's say, the user to have an account with that, let's say, Ameritrade or?
No, so that's solely just for tracking locally. So
okay.
Yeah, so there's no connections there. It's just meant for user maintenance, I suppose you could say.
Okay. All right. Am I next? Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So are you guys seeing the screen now? All right. So the update, very simple. I have an end-to-end demo, and that's where I want to focus on. So I was planning the MVP, and I think I got it. So why it happened is because I really stripped it down to its bare minimum. And as you will see, it's very crude, but it works. And even if I have to run it once a week manually, I'll do it, right? Now, I think the big lesson learned for this week is that, yeah, you can, let's say, I have the functionality, but I have zero exposure, right? Other than this group and perhaps the random person that sees the the tweets and so on. So I've underestimated the outreach, and I think this is my plan for next week. I think I want to validate whether there's any value in this. That means I'll start a campaign based on Instagram. But I think overall, yes, I'm on track. The KPIs are frozen. No growth, no money, only one recommendation, and the likes. Okay, this is week 3. So they've stayed flat. But I want to show you something that I wanted to try. So how would anyone trigger the Umami bot? And I thought this is the simplest, and I blogged about it. And it turns out that the API is making it difficult for any library to really get a notification, direct notification. You cannot get direct messages. So I thought, okay, if anyone posts something on hashtag UmamiBotSubscribe, I'll be able to see these notifications and parse them, right? For now, what you will see is I asked Emmy before the meeting to post a picture. So this cute dog with UmamiBotSubscribe and a hashtag, like hashtag vegan. That means that Giglet's Garments is interested in subscribing to UmamiBot on the vegan recipes. So as I run this end-to-end script, right, what it's doing out of my computer is pulling a lot of all these hashtags, and it detected that Giglet's Garments is interested in subscribing. So then I go in searching for recipes. And what you're seeing now here is just a fully automated stuff, right? That it's tracking that user. And it's taking a while because this robot, it's pretending to be a human. So it's taking its time to kind of load up my welcome screen. It goes back to my home, right? Trying to fool probably the algorithms from Instagram for detecting bots. And of course, it decides like, okay, now I need to sleep 3 seconds or 5 seconds. It's just a random number. So you have control over it. Oh no. Okay, it crashed. But okay, I was not expecting this. Nevertheless, the point is that what would happen next is that it would find the recipe. Maybe see if I can get one of the old ones. No, okay, crash and burn. But anyway, the point is that if something happened, right, and I don't know what exactly happened, but as soon as you find it finds a recipe and the hashtag vegan as Emmy requested, it would go into that post, and I'll just simulate that manually. For example, vegan, and it would pick something that actually is a recipe. And I think I've validated this manually. And let's say this recipe over here, it has a list of ingredients. So what would the robot do automatically is to go into this post, like it, and it would leave a comment saying, hey, Giglet's Garments, check out this vegan recipe. And it would leave a post, and this is the way obviously this will happen, and Giglet's Garments will get a notification because I commented on it, and this is the way I close the loop, right? The user that subscribed to this hashtag will get a comment directly on the post of the person who originated the recipe saying, check this out. So obviously it crashed for some reason. I'll debug this later, but this is the way I close the loop. So assuming I figure out this, bug, and also to make sure that I can support multiple users and multiple hashtags, even if I have to run this manually once a week, it's going to work because it's leaving comments. Now the big part, going back to this thing of campaigning, I think this is going to be tricky in 2 weeks. I need to get the word out and to see if both creators of recipes would be interested at all in the Umami bot, and also to see if anyone would actually subscribe, right? Assuming it works. So I think that's about it. It's too bad it failed, because it would have been cool to show you how the robot actually does everything by itself. But anyway, that's another story. I should have prepared a video, but next time. So that's it, guys.
We'll take your word for it for now, but we fully expect a video in the next update newsletter at
Right.
least.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see here. All right. Well, I had a slow week. I don't have much to show. Like I'm in the same boat as Sven is. Just trying to ponder on who would be the best. In terms of like first users, innovators, people to clamor onto this in the beginning. Trying to figure out where they are on the internet. I'd sent out about 20 cold messages to people with the growth marketer title on LinkedIn. I haven't heard anything back, so I'm gonna just follow up until they yell at me or something, and see what they say. I'm also thinking about maybe community managers might clamor onto this idea as well. I love the indie hacker crew, but I think they're a little too price sensitive, and they might not get exactly what I'm trying to do, in terms of like building a tool to help you gain an audience and be helpful at scale. So that's where I'm at in terms of like just where I'm at in terms of my head and where my thought is. My big achievement, I gained 2 signups. Nothing too significant. I'm definitely behind on that, so I gotta like figure out quickly who and where to go to in terms of my direct network and people who I can reach out to. I also might try some Facebook groups, which I've never explored. I heard Sven had some luck there, so I might try that out as well. This week I fixed the landing page. I tightened up my copy. I don't have enough. I tried reaching out and putting some feelers out into the indie hackers community. I didn't really get any signals or responses from anyone, which is good and bad, I guess. So I'm just gonna take it as is. I still don't have any designs to show. I'm hoping that I can have something to touch and feel on by next week, mid next week. I put some automation into the actual welcome email process. So if someone signs up, they'll get this email. Something to just connect with people. Also, I set up a Gumroad pre-sale widget on my website, on my landing page. I also set up this is a pretty cool product I found. Product board. So I pretty much just put it up there for anybody who signs up. They can see my roadmap. They can add and vote up product stuff that I'm thinking about, which is pretty rad, I think. That's pretty cool. What else here? Yeah, I mean, right now I'm just, next week, my plan is just I really got to hunker down and figure out who who to go after. Maybe I'm being too light in terms of my messaging or in terms of cold outreach. So I got to try something here to up my game in terms of early signups. I mean, I have a whole community that I haven't reached out to that I built up myself, but I just don't don't want to like sell them on something and make it look. I feel like I might come off too salesy if I do that. I built up a community just based off of, just inviting people to a thing that they might like. So I don't want to use it as a sales pulpit, if you will. But I don't know. We'll see what happens as I get more desperate towards the end here. I got a soft launch on Product Hunt scheduled for next week, midweek. So I'm going to see if that can garner any feedback or any signups as well. I had a little movement on my KPIs. I had 10 views or 7 views total on my article on my blog. I had a little engagement on Indie Hackers, but it wasn't anything significant that made sense for this project. Early signups too, no pre-sales. I'm going to figure that out as well. So that's where I'm at, just figuring out where I can balance the messaging to fit the I hate calling them targets, but the target market, the user that will get the most use out of this, if there is a user. So, and that's where I'm at.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Super exciting, I think. Everyone does individually, I think, underestimate the progress they make usually. I tend to do the same thing. And most of us have other engagements, right? Other responsibilities. This is not a full-time gig for any of us right now, I think. So, any little incremental engagement is helpful. And Steve, you're still sharing your screen, by the way. So don't underestimate it, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like, this is the one of the keys of why, where Archie and I had the original discussion of just, it'd be great to have something which just helps us do a little bit every day, right? And that's kind of what the launch track cohort is all about. So it's not that we have to achieve product market fit and have 100 customers by the end, right? It's more just, okay, let's just grind through it and learn one thing every day, do one line of code, well, couple lines of code maybe every day, whatever it is, what your one thing is, right? I think it's very important. And I don't know how you guys feel, but like, I certainly over the week had a couple of days where I almost just didn't do anything, right? And I was like, well, I mean, I have, a couple of things I can report on Twitter, but it wasn't today. And then I forced myself to just sit down and, I wrote the tweet maybe, but then I opened the code and just poke around in like one thing. I think it's like, hey, let me just change that color on that button or something. Yeah. And that usually leads into like a 2-hour thing, right? Because now you're in.
Yeah, you're hooked. Yeah, that's an interesting point, because it's like sometimes you just feel like, man, I just don't want to do anything. I just want to take a step back. But if like you open a book, or if you go on a discussion forum, you start getting the juices flowing again, and then you have to push.
Exactly. A great book I read called The Slight Edge, and there's a bunch of other books with the same principle talk about that. It's like you just do something, just like Sven said. Like, even if it's literally you start with one line of code, and even if you only did one line of code, then that's still something better than doing nothing. But typically, that then causes you to want to go ahead and continue on and do more and more. But then also builds that repetition and discipline to every day do something.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like the king of procrastination. So
yeah, same here. Like, I'm actually surprised that I worked on this all week and didn't just do this for the last 2 hours before 7 p.m.
Yeah. So it was painful at the beginning, right? I mean, for at least for me, it was really tough to get into, hey, the daily tweet, and then once a week the blog. But I would say this week was way easier. Now you just get into
Yeah.
the rhythm, and you just do it. So yeah, it improves.
Yeah, I mean, on your point on reaching out to people and like feeling like, am I bothering this person? I don't know if you feel
Yeah.
that way, but I feel that way too. Am I
Oh,
bothering?
totally.
But like, you got to think about it. It's just like you have something cool to offer them, and it's probably useful. And if they're not like saying, "Hey, never message me again, jerk," then I guess you're good.
And even if they do, right? So what? Like, it's fine. Like, as long as you are respectful after you get the feedback that someone isn't interested, I think it's fine. And actually, this is a great segue, because I wanted to ask you guys for some feedback on something I came up with in the shower earlier. So I have this big stack of business cards from like the last couple of years, right? I hold on to most business cards I get. Like, you don't get as many these days, but which, by the way, side note to the question here, virtual business cards have also not been solved yet, I think. Like an easy way to share your information.
Yeah.
So that idea is for free, whoever wants to take it out there. So I was thinking, how edgy is it to just add all of these business cards, all of the emails from those business cards to my blog, to my newsletter? It's not ideal, right? It's not great, because I have been on the other side.
They gave it to you.
That's what I said.
They had the audacity to give you their information just like that, Like, here, call me, dude.
That's true. I could call them. That would be worse.
I mean, probably half of them are from them trying to sell you something.
Right. So I guess they would respect the hustle.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm thinking, right? And along the same lines, I was planning to actually write a blog post about this, right? Because what it's all about, actually, in my opinion, is the power of the network, right? And especially today that we don't have the in-person networking, which I love, it's harder. And I think LinkedIn is decent at that, right? I guess that's the best virtual business card we have today. And if you, I don't know if any of you do it, but I don't really nurture my LinkedIn connections, right? And there's so many, most of them are just kind of like willy-nilly, nothing really serious. But the same thing goes for those business cards. I kind of want to get back to the point of really, engaging with my immediate network, right? Like, all of these people have met me at least once, and I just went through them. It's a couple hundred. I don't know. I can probably pinpoint half of them at least to who that is. Maybe not exactly I remember, but like, I remember the context. I remember where kind of it was. I remember what project I was working on, right? So I was thinking maybe I just write a blog post about, networking, and how I decided to just add all of you guys, those guys, to the list. And have a big unsubscribe button even right at the top. It's like, hey, if you don't want to read it, just hit the button right then and there. No hard feelings, right?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool experiment.
Or maybe a one-time thing, right? It's just like, hey, maybe not a recurrent thing, but at least just saying hi.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the difference, right? Because when I first reached out last week to my LinkedIn network and asked people, or just told people about my blog, some subscribed, and like, there is a lot of friction, right? Because now they need to subscribe, they need to go to their email, they need to click confirm. Otherwise, they're not going to be in my newsletter. And even from some who said, oh yeah, they subscribed, they're not there, because I'm assuming they just didn't, either it maybe landed in spam or who knows. Versus if I just take the initiative and add them directly to the newsletter's email list, right, then they will get every newsletter from now on. But I also don't write that many, like that currently once a week.
Yeah, like I said, like I have like over 600 connections for the community I have. I haven't really utilized it, and I don't want to, like, I don't know how to approach that. I invited him to a thing. then I'm going to send them an invite to a different thing like that's mine. It kind of seems a little too tactical, you know.
Could you get him a free version of it? Like just offer it because it's your community. You don't want them. You
That's
want to
true.
reward them. You know.
That's true. I mean, I could approach it. I could word it in a certain way where it's, hey, I have this thing for everyone.
Because of being a part of
give everyone in the group a chance to sign up to this before anyone else does, type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First year free, you know, or like donation or something, right? Like the power of the community is that more often than not, you realize, at least some of the makers I follow, so many of their community, like, and the entire Patreon system works because of that, right? People want to contribute, if that's with dollars or time or work.
Yeah.
If the topic's interesting to them, they want to contribute. So don't underestimate that. I think as long as you don't straight up ask them like, hey, who wants to buy this, right? Even just asking for feedback. It's like, hey, I would love to give anyone who wants to give me feedback a free login, right? When I'm ready. Something like that.
That's true. Cool.
Yeah, so the outreach for me, this is critical this week and the next one. I think it's that is the piece, right? Otherwise, nobody knows you. It's like you're just one more thing on the internet, and I think tapping into the network that I have, at least that I built on the barbecue thing, that will be my starting point. But now I really realize that I need to take that seriously and do it. That's it. Just do it and see what. And that was the whole point of this exercise for me. See whether this idea has any value for anyone, and just try it out. But also, you get into an interesting point that are they just being nice because in a way they maybe you put out good content or somehow you're connected to them? Are they just trying to help because who you are, that relationship that you build?
Yeah.
Or is it like a real interest behind it that they really find it useful and they want to do it because it's useful by itself? So it's interesting questions, but I guess we'll see.
You have usually both, right? So I talked to some of you guys about him before. There's this guy I follow on YouTube. The channel's called Wintergarten. He's a musician, Swedish guy living in France, building this insane marble machine, right? He is super successful in building communities, great at it. He has his Discord channel with thousands of members. And a team in his community self-formed and self-organizes to draw this entire thing in CAD for him for free. They're going to open source it, right? Like people contribute. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really great to see. And that's kind of course, like actually that channel is in part, inspiration for the entire CoStarting methodology, because I believe strongly that as long as the passion and the values and the topics are aligned with what people are interested in or believe in, they want to be a part of it, right? And it'd be great if that code could go beyond just purchasing a product, right? And actually being a contributor. Okay, anything else? Because I think the last topic we talked about just a couple of seconds before we went live is that we might want to start a midweek check-in to also go live and have no format, no status update per se, but just like this format that we have right now, just to kind of get together and shoot the shit, talk about what's going on, right? And maybe we could pick one or two topics every week, something specific to help someone with, right? Like today, the topic seems to be outreach, right? How do we identify our audience? And maybe we could just kind of get together and brainstorm, potentially even open that up to to the community. I have on these current live streams, I have the live chat disabled because we are focusing on the presentation sharing and all of that. But it'd be great if we start to get following and have people interact in these brainstorming sessions as well.
I mean, I might have some like copy and like some examples of things to do in terms of like outreach for you. Because I did some contract work for this company called Sift Local, and they were like an events management like platform for like independent makers and creators.
Oh, cool.
So I was handling their social media. I think I still have all the stuff I did, and like it worked out pretty good. Like connecting with people on and like featuring like other makers on your platform. So
I would love to see
I'll,
anything you got.
I'll try to send some stuff for you.
Very cool.
Great, excellent. Anything else you want to talk about? The weather, coronavirus, politics, all the good stuff. Maybe we'll leave this out here. I think we all appreciate that this is kind of the forum of things we can't control.
So this is just over the halfway point, right? So we have week 3 and 4. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I think as of next week, or maybe in those midweek check-ins, we can also start discussing how we are feeling from now on, you know, like what's going to come. Right now, I think we're 2 weeks in. Everyone has a somewhat decent grasp on, are they going to make it? Or like, what's this thing I'm building going to be after 4 weeks? And where is it potentially going to go? Right. This will probably change week over week still, but what's cohort 2, or what's the progression of the launch track, right?
You're never going to hear from me again after this.
Yay! Oh,
Because you're going to be filthy rich of the sales of this product, yeah?
I think that dent filled in.
Awesome. Well, okay, cool. Yeah, if there's nothing else, go share the live stream after this on your channels.
Yeah.
I tweeted a little bit about all of your posts. We're already doing it, obviously, but let's keep cross promoting the projects we're building. It's slow. Building an audience is slow, especially these days, right? Like we're, I don't know how many, 20 years late on Twitter or something. I am, at least. But like I started following this one guy, as a last note from my side, who built a Vim course. A teaching course. I think, Steve, you're following him too.
Vim.so?
What's that?
Was it Vim.so or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's fairly new to Twitter. He's super active. I mean, he tweets like 10 times a day. So he definitely beats me on that. But he built, like, let's see, I have it in front of me right now, actually. Almost 2,200 followers now. And he joined in October of 2020. So not shabby at all.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I asked him how he did it, and he's like, hey, it's just continuously, tweeting. He does a lot of videos of his coding and his creating the course.
Oh, okay.
So our concepts, it's spot on, I think. We just need to find the sweet spot of what works for, the individual kind of audience for each product.
Yeah, that content. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I was in passing, like mentioning what I'm doing to other people that I'm coming in contact with, and like groups.
Do you want to know that?
What's that?
I'm just kidding. You said what you're doing to other people you're coming in contact with.
Oh, yeah, making out with them and everything, and I'm fine. But like in terms of the cohort, like I was explaining to what we're doing, they might be interested. Do you want me to like send them information, like your information, to get in context? I don't know what your thought process is in continuing on another cohort.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, I mean, I usually point them to our first video, because at the beginning I try to explain the broader overview at least a little bit, right? I'm going to work on putting up CoStarting.org soon. I have that domain already, which is more of the bigger umbrella of everything, right? The openness, the community building, the collaborative starting, and all of that.
Yeah.
The remote first, I think I'm going to make another pillar. And then, from there it goes into cohorts, which is, costartup.co right now. Okay. And where the cohorts go, I'm not sure. I have one university affiliated program in New Mexico actually interested in potentially launching a cohort in the spring. So also the launch track cohort. So I'm planning on recycling more or less the same content. I'm looking for a startup who would like to be like a startup highlight kind of thing, to follow one startup specifically. Maybe, one which is already further along. So if you guys know anyone who might be interested in that. I thought I had one actually, but they split up. The founding team split up early. So
they're they have some really good traction, and like, are you looking for anything in particular in terms of
not even that. Like, I think maybe the criteria is like someone who is doing it full time, right? Like someone who is whatever, if there's funding, bootstrapping, traction, doesn't matter, but someone who is doing it full time, so that if we have a weekly check-in, and I'm sure we're going to be cut off here in a second again. But if I'm more of a moderator to check in with them, kind of, like the startup podcast from Gimlet Media, for example, where they followed along with their own startup. But something like that, I think, could be cool and interesting, just from a content creation perspective.
Cool.
Great, awesome. So before the live stream cuts us off, thanks everyone. Super excited to see the updates, and we will talk on Tuesday.